I want to talk about a free speech case that is emerging at the University of Oklahoma. And I'm indebted to the coverage of this by the political scientist Jonathan Turley, who has an excellent column on this, and I'm drawing most of my information from this column. But I think when we talk about free speech, we shouldn't just speak generically. We should look at the way in which these free speech battles play out on the ground in practical terms. So here's the University of Oklahoma, which has a star volleyball player, a woman named Kylie McLaughlin. Now, Kylie McLaughlin got into trouble, you might say, with her coaches. Her coaches are named Lindsay and Kyle Walton. It appears to be a husband and wife team, but I'm not sure. Anyway, two coaches. And she got in trouble with her coaches for what? Basically for expressing conservative views. Now, McLaughlin is not some run-of-the-mill player. She's the team captain. But when the team showed a Netflix documentary called 13th, which was evidently all about slavery, McLaughlin apparently said, quote, that while she agreed slavery was 100% wrong, she thought the film was slanted left. And she said particularly the film went out of its way to criticize Trump. And she said, quote, black incarceration was higher than other racial groups while representing a smaller overall percentage of the population. In other words, an absolute factually true statement. If you pretty much go to any of the prisons for violent inmates, you discover blacks who are about 13%, 12 to 13% of the population are like 50, 60, 75% of the prison population. So this is hardly, to anyone who knows anything about the subject, this is hardly a controversial statement. It's merely a statement of fact. Now, apparently, the University of Texas wanted to get rid of its school song, The Eyes of Texas. Who knows why? Probably because there's some history of, there was once a racist who sang that song, So anyway, they want to get rid of it. But Lindsay Walton said, let's not do it. She objected to it. Now, apparently, this caused a bit of a ruckus on the team. And apparently, Lindsay Walton came to her and said, delete the tweet, delete the tweet. Kyle Walton told her, quote, I'm not sure I can coach you anymore. So these are coaches intimidating their own star player for being, you may say, a right-winger. And McLaughlin wanted to be cooperative, so she deleted the tweet. And she apologized. So she backed down, I think in the name, not because she regretted what she said, I don't think, but to make peace. But evidently, the coaches decided the damage was done. So they told her, listen, you know what? From now on, if you want to do practice, you got to practice on your own. You can't practice with the team. What? So they're essentially starting to isolate her from the team. And their reasoning is that she is interfering with team spirit. So it's not her incapacity as a player, not at all. And she got along with the team just fine, but evidently because she has offended their politics and maybe the official politics of the University of Oklahoma administration, she's now persona non grata. So they basically push her out of the school. McLaughlin ultimately transfers to Ole Miss, but she now files a lawsuit against the university and against the coaches on the fact that she was denied her athletic scholarship and ultimately driven out of the university because of her speech, which seems impossible to question. Now, the university, interesting in its kind of standard deceitful fashion, is trying to pretend like it's not about the speech. And so the university basically says that McLaughlin chose herself to go to another university. She could have stayed on the team, and that this is basically a ruckus of her own making. But interestingly, the coaches disagree. The coaches, who have their own lawyer, have filed a statement. And I want to read the statement because it kind of gets to what the coaches are claiming. They're basically claiming, yeah, we have the right to throw somebody off the team because of free speech. So here's what they say. While plaintiff was free to make bigoted statements. Now, first of all, I pause to note that this woman, Kylie McLaughlin, has not made a single bigoted statement. But nevertheless, the coaches think it's bigoted. While plaintiff was free to make bigoted statements, she was not free from the consequences of how her teammates perceived those statements. Even though there's no known revolt from the team, it's the coaches that are kind of putting the thumb screws on her. And then they basically say that the First Amendment cannot force her teammates, again, the coaches are hiding behind the rest of the team, to trust the plaintiff or desire to play with her. And consequently, the coaches are saying that they're within their rights to cultivate a winning team atmosphere by and fostering team trust by throwing, if you will, uncooperative players off the team. Wow. So what the coaches are basically saying that in the name of esprit de corps, team spirit, which by the way, they define team spirit, this bigoted player, they define who's bigoted, can in fact be pushed off the team for her views and nothing else. So this is a straight free speech case. And I'm really hopeful that Kylie McLaughlin here takes it all the way, fights it in court, exposes the tyrannical mindset of these two coaches. And ignorant though the coaches may be, the administration is not ignorant. At the end of the day, it's important to punish these administrators, expose them, make the trustees come to terms with all this, maybe get some of these people rooted out. The legal way is one way to apply pressure on these people. So we need conservative institutions that are going to bring these cases. We already do have some. We need more to protect free speech in the many, many places around, not just the campus, but around the culture where it is gravely imperiled.